New Yorkers are known for many things, including, of course, a respect for jurisprudence and originality. So lock him up was out of the question as a chant for the New Yorkers who welcomed Donald Trump back to Manhattan once again today to testify in a civil lawsuit against him and his company brought by New York State Attorney General Letitia James. New Yorkers know that you cannot be locked up at the end of a civil lawsuit, only subjected essentially to a fine, which in this case could be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. And so New Yorkers' chant to Donald Trump on his way to testify today was the simple, and for the thin-skinned Donald Trump, the possibly deeply hurtful, New York hates you.
New York hates you. New York hates you. New York hates you. New York hates you. New York hates you. New York hates you. New York hates you. New York hates you. New York hates you. New York hates you.
And not a Trump supporter in sight, not one. Donald Trump has completely given up summoning his supporters to protest the prosecutors who are closing in on him in New York because Donald Trump knows that they won't show up. Donald Trump knows that even though 690,000 people in New York City voted for him, they don't like him enough to actually show up near the courthouse to protest for him. Yes, Donald Trump only got 22% of the vote in New York City, but that means 690,000 New York City residents voted for Donald Trump. And that is a larger number than the total number of Trump voters in North Dakota and South Dakota combined. Two states that Donald Trump won easily. Here's what happened the last time Donald Trump was forced to testify under oath in a deposition in this lawsuit by the New York Attorney General.
I decline to answer the question.
The 2019 Statement of Financial Condition contained false and misleading valuations and statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
You knew at the time it was finalized that the year 2019 Statement of Financial Condition contained false and misleading statements. Is that correct?
Same answer.
In preparing the 2019 Statement of Financial Condition, Mr. Weisselberg and Mr. McConney worked at your direction and followed your instructions to inflate asset valuations on the Statement of Financial Condition by employing false and misleading assumptions. Is that correct?
Same answer.
Donald Trump is trying to delay another civil case that is scheduled to go to trial in just 12 days in federal court in Manhattan. Jury selection is scheduled to begin then in E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit against Donald Trump, in which she accuses Donald Trump of raping her in a department store dressing room in the 1990s. Donald Trump's defense lawyers in that case are asking for a 1-month delay in the trial because of what they call, quote, a deluge of prejudicial media coverage around Donald Trump's arrest and arraignment in New York City last week. Of course, most of the negative media coverage was quoting Donald Trump's attacks on the judge and the district attorney in the case and their families. The federal judge hearing that case has already indicated that he has very little patience left for Donald Trump's delaying tactics. The trial can proceed without Donald Trump necessarily being in the courtroom. Sometimes in civil cases, plaintiffs or defendants choose not to attend every hour of every trial session. But if Donald Trump does show up to the Moynihan Federal Courthouse in Lower Manhattan for the trial in the E. Jean Carroll case, he is very, very likely to hear this again.
New York hates you. 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 New
Justice Department Special Prosecutor Jack Smith appears to be focusing on the possibility of criminal fraud in Donald Trump's solicitation of contributions after he lost the presidential election. Trump supporters were told in email solicitations that their money would be used to stop the steal of the election. The Washington Post is reporting the fundraising prong of the investigation is focused on money raised during the period between November 3rd, 2020, and the end of Trump's time in office on January 20th, 2021. And prosecutors are said to be interested in whether anyone associated with the fundraising operation violated wire fraud laws, which make it illegal to make false representations over email to swindle people out of money. Every person who contributed to Donald Trump's so-called Stop the Steal fundraising was the victim of a swindle by Donald Trump. Every one of them. There is a major new development in Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's other investigation of Donald Trump's possession of government documents, including top secret documents after he left the presidency. The New York Times is reporting federal investigators are asking witnesses whether former President Donald J. Trump showed off to aides and visitors a map he took with him when he left office that contains sensitive intelligence information for people with knowledge of the matter said. One person briefed on the matter said investigators have asked about Mr. Trump showing the map while aboard a plane. Another said that based on the questions they were asking, investigators appeared to believe that Mr. Trump showed the map to at least one advisor after leaving office. A third person with knowledge of the investigation said the map might also have been shown to a journalist writing a book